Come, Nerevar, come, gaze upon the Tamriel Province tier list. What? You're saying this is just an Elder Scrolls race tier list reframed as a province tier list? What a grand and intoxicating innocence. The land has nothing to do with the people that live there, or maybe it does. Let's begin with the most civilized and advanced province, Morrowind or Resdain. The diversity of Dunmer architecture, magic, cities, and everything else in this province honors the sixth house and the tribe unmourned. We are an advanced civilization that brought down the Dwemer and claimed this territory for ourselves. The Battle of Red Mountain was legendary. Morrowind is also a home to me, a god, and home to the Heart Chamber, a place where destiny is made. Gaze upon Mournhold, Vivec City, Balmora, and other cities. Gaze upon the beautiful landscapes of the Bitter Coast. Look at how tall the Telvanni towers are, how magnificent. And the people are brave and proud and do not like Enois, even if the Enois is a Dunmer. Indeed, a very exclusive and elite society. We are also the only province that knows how to use farm tools properly. No other nation on Tamriel can do so. Nerevar, this is also the province where you are destined to thrive. For this reason, I give Morrowind S tier. Ah, Black Marsh. The province is a big swamp full of hiss trees, which is not bad within itself, I guess. However, these hiss trees decided to play God and created a bunch of scaly, egg-laying farm tools known as Argonians. They live there freely and waste the precious resources of the province. All of these farm tools need to be put to good use. When you let them live freely, you barely get any functioning civilization. They live by listening to the voices in their heads that are induced by their tree gods. If you expect to live a normal life here or have a decent adventure, you can forget about it. What a grand and intoxicating innocence. Instead, you have a bunch of Lovecraftian lizards getting drunk on hist sap attacking you on sight. The Anzilil will make your life a living nightmare. This swampy wasteland will remain a swampy wasteland without Dunmer for centuries to come. Honestly, I wish this province just didn't exist or was annexed by Morrowind. It belongs in the D tier. Then, you have the mongrel dogs of the Empire province, Cyrodiil. It used to belong to the Aliads, but the pesky mongrel dogs of the Empire decided that elven supremacy was not for them and staged a rebellion. Now it is home to the Imperial City, which is crawling with Enois. And if all of that was not enough, they decided to spread themselves like the vermin they are across Tamriel. Tiber Septim used the Numidium to conquer each province. But going back to the land of Cyrodiil, it is actually not very impressive. It's just your standard mountains, forests, and plains, and that's about it. The cities have relatively unique architecture, but in the grand scheme of things, you won't find anything here that you would in Morrowind. Also, let's not forget that you have a Bosmer following you everywhere you go after completing the arena quest. He always keeps coming back. True, the White Gold Tower is located here, but honestly, that's probably the only thing that is close to a positive in this province. Either way, the mongrel dogs belong in the D tier. Next you have, Elsweyr. You should go anywhere but here, Nerevar. Go on your adventures elsewhere. This joke never gets old. Ha 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 ha. Just talking about this farm tool country aggravates my allergies. This is the land of deserts, skooma, moon sugar, and different kinds of furry cat-like fiends, known as the Khajiit. You enter this province and you immediately get robbed. The real adventure here is if you manage to survive this land and come back with your loot intact. Seriously, Nerevar, I cannot imagine living here. Instead of being like normal cats who enjoy catnip, these Enois decided to consume copious amounts of moon sugar. While Morrowind is covered by the smoke from the Red Mountain, Elsweyr is covered with smoke from these farm tools, boofing skooma all day. Cat hair from an unwashed cat and the smell of skooma really gets to you, not to mention sandstorms. If you try to rest here, the sign, "You cannot rest while enemies are nearby," is permanently active. It would have been better if the Dunmer ruled it D tier. If you replace the Khajiit with the Red Guards, but keep the desert in the equation, you get Hammerfell. Sure, there is not that much cat hair here, and not much skooma or moon sugar, however. The political affairs here are enough to scare off even the most seasoned adventurer. The musty smell of Redguard sweat, mixed in with the heat and the sandstorms, make this place somewhat unbearable. Also, You constantly get attacked by the sword singers whenever you are trying to travel from city to city. The overabundance of curved swords in this province has reached full capacity. Unfortunately, there is a serious deficit of old spice. The only reason the Red Guards are here is because they sank their own continent of Yakuda. Also, let's not forget all that boogaloo that happened on Stros Mackay with Cyrus and all that. I got to give it to them, though. The landscape was so horrible that they managed to drive the Aldmeri Dominion away. C-tier province. The next province is Skyrim. I have said a lot about Skyrim back in the day, but it is a snow-covered wasteland that basically has two climates, cold and very cold. The parts that are covered in swamps and forests are crawling with Forsworn and Hagravens that are ready to carve your heart out at a moment's notice. Also, don't forget the bandits and dragons. Seriously, Nerevar, these savage Enwa Nords are good-for-nothing drunkards that fight and shout for a living. Seriously, wherever you go, they just start yelling, "Skyrim belongs to the Nords," and begin attacking you. The smell of mead permeates the air, and every time there is a snowstorm, I swear I can feel the stench from their fur armor blowing right in my face. Yes, the undead smell very bad, but the Nord undead, or the Draugr, smell 10 times worse. You go into a dungeon and they just start shouting you apart with their bad breath. Also, if you don't have any mods installed, some places here are empty, and you have to walk for miles before you find a creature or something. Skyrim really only has 2, maybe 3 cities that are somewhat impressive, that being Whiterun, Windhelm, and Solitude. The rest of them are just over-glamorized villages and Riften. Yes, Riften is close to Morrowind, but the crime rate is higher than all of Skyrim combined. Oh, and let's not forget the absolute tomfoolery that is the Skyrim Civil War, where you are forced to pick sides with either the mongrel dogs of the Empire or the guy who failed to get into the Bard's College 5 times. All in all, this is a D-tier province. Then you have High Rock, which is known for its great food and perpetual state of conflict. And also for some reason, these Breton Enwas are letting orcs live on their land, which does not make any sense. Orcs live and breed in this land freely, and are integrated into their society. How do they allow this to go on? Generally, High Rock is a problematic province full of petty squabbles among Breton nobles. They will backstab you or betray you for the most trivial matters just to gain an ounce of political power. True, the Red Guard politics are complicated, but the amount of betrayals among the Bretons exceeds all anime betrayals combined. At least the farm tools do all that for skooma money. What are the Bretons doing this for? An empty promise of political power, nothing tangible. They may look intelligent, but all things considered, they might be the dumbest Enwas in Tamriel in some regard. Their castles are generic, and their estates are all so primitive, Nerevar. However, they fare better than some other provinces. A very generous C-tier. Ah, the Summerset Isle, the former home of the Chimer, now known as the Dunmer. It is full of self-absorbed, stuck-up elven supremacists known as the Thalmor. This province is supposedly advanced and forward-thinking, but in reality it is full of busybodies that get in your business every day. Why do you think my kind left it? They did not let us worship the gods we wanted to worship. In retrospect, those are false gods, but still, my point stands. Also, they like to criticize others for being inferior. But if you look at their architecture and cities, they actually don't look that different from High Rock, for crying out loud. True, this province is a lot more well-kept, and does not have as much of an internal strife. The Enwas living here are fetchers, but at least they are not trying actively rob you. They also managed to teach the mongrel dogs of the Empire a lesson that counts for something. I will give them a very generous B tier. Finally, there is Vallenwood, a land covered with forests, dominated by Yifra, a tree god that is probably not that different from the Hist. The Green Pact is strong here, too strong for my liking. The Bosmer are a fun bunch, jumping around from tree to tree, firing their arrows, going on hunts, dressing up in all natural clothing. They remind me of the Forsworn here a little bit, and you know how I cannot stand the Forsworn. Basically, this is a province of Forsworn, but they are elves instead of humans, so you will have to deal with the fact that they live longer and will annoy you for longer. You step foot in this province, and immediately you see Bosmers enjoying a particular kind of food. Other Bosmer Clarice, You try to go deep into the forest and the trees start speaking to you. Probably because most of their cities are located on trees. Seriously, Nerevar, why would someone live on a tree? You can just use a fireball, and that is it. Their whole civilization will burn to a crisp. All and all, I really do not appreciate these kumbaya nature-loving Enwas. C-tier province. Well, Nerevar, I must take my leave now. There are no provinces in the A-tier because none of them deserve to be in the A-tier. Please don't forget to honor the 6th house and the tribe unmourned.